Welcome to the Bobby O Show. My name is Bob O'Potzner, and have I got a wonderful show for you today. I grew up with the understanding of the American dream, and I was lucky enough to have a family that was very supportive of me. We had a family-owned business in Shelton, Connecticut. We worked together, we lived together, and my folks were very interested in education. Everybody doesn't have that kind of support that I had when I grew up. And we were a middle-class family, but I thought when I grew up, we had everything, except I did not get a new car when I was 16 years of age. Other than that, I got everything I wanted. Some people don't have that opportunity and support. But there are volunteers in our community, in our society, who try to give people a better chance so that students can maximize their opportunity to succeed in our society. And today I want to talk about with three wonderful people, Richfield, A Better Chance. And that's an organization we're going to talk about today with the current president, the past president, and one of the students who was part of the ABC program to talk to the audience and the community about what this organization provides and the wonderful service it does, both for the students who are enrolled in the program and the students who are in the receiving school. Ladies, I want to introduce to you today Susanne Galanski, Janet Arnold, and Danielle Dickerson. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Bob.
How are you? Do you prefer Jan or Janet, Jan?
Jan.
Okay, Jan, I'll do that.
No
The Richfield, A Better Chance. Why don't each of you just give about a minute of your own background? I'll start with the current president, Jan, go to Suzanne second, and then the former student, Danielle. Give us a 1 minute background about yourselves and how you're involved in the organization, and then we'll talk about what ABC is all about. Jan, you want to start?
Sure. Thank you for having us. This is a pleasure. As you know, I'm currently the president, and I had the pleasure of being the co-president with Suzanne for 2 years prior to this. Currently, I am co-president with Kristen Eason-Player. And prior to being president, Suzanne and I chaired 2 of the galas, including the virtual gala during COVID. I was very excited about Richfield, A Better Chance from the very first time I heard about it at, of all things, a holiday party. At the time, they were looking for a host family, and I felt that was the perfect way for me to jump in and get involved and try to help out. And before I knew it, we were a host family for a young woman named Jacinta. And she was amazing. Such a young, brave, vibrant young woman. Our whole family enjoyed our time together with her. She jumped right into our family dynamic, and we were, enjoying our time with her. And she so enriched our lives by getting to know her family, her cultural traditions, and everything. It was just a joy. So then Jacinta graduated from Ridgefield High School in 2016, went on to Union College. She now lives in Boston and works as a nurse. And we are still in touch with her today, and it's been a wonderful relationship. Once Jacinta graduated from Ridgefield High School, I joined the RABC board because I was all in, loved the mission, and just wanted to help out. And although I did start my involvement with RABC and everything thinking that I wanted to help others, I have found that getting to know these beautiful young women and Jacinta has really been a gift to me and my family, and they have enriched my life as much as I started out trying to help them. But it's really been a wonderful time working together. And yeah, so I really enjoyed the program, and I'm thankful that you're here to help spread the news.
And I'm going to have a few questions for you after you go through the introductions. We'll come back to you. Suzanne?
Hi. Okay. Well, Jan said a lot because she and I worked together for several years on several different aspects of Ridgefield, A Better Chance. But I first became involved back in 2012. My youngest daughter had just gone off to college, and I was looking for a way to stay, to continue my involvement in the Ridgefield community. And a friend of mine, Sue Ferguson, a longtime volunteer with our organization, had told me that she was an academic advisor. And so I began to ask her, like, what is an academic advisor? What do you do? What does that mean? And she kind of explained it to me. And I thought, I think I can do that. I think I can work one-on-one with a student, guide them through high school, help them keep on top of their academics and the relationships with the faculty at the school and things like that. And I was assigned a lovely young woman named Tony. And Tony and I met probably like one day before high school started. And I found out she was such a unique person and highly gifted and intelligent. She just kind of blew me away. I don't know what I expected. I didn't have expectations. And like Jan said, this experience enriched me so much because I began to get to know this person who was 13 at the time and followed her through school for 4 years and watched her change and grow and develop into a mature, a, you know, young adult. And she attended Pratt Institute in Brooklyn. She's an artist, although she could have studied anything. She was just really, really gifted and smart. She had great insight into things, and she took that into her art. She now lives in Chicago, and it has been a gift to me as well as my pleasure to give whatever I could to both her and the organization. And later, after I was only involved with her for 1 year, I decided I wanted to be part of the board of the organization and really get involved more deeply. And I've done all sorts of things, like I coordinated the orientation program. I've been involved with fundraising. There's a million things that we need on the board. We've done things.
And we'll get into some of those things.
Yeah.
And by the way, I was on the Board of Education, as the ladies know, for many years in Richfield. And both Jan, who I met initially when she was in the PTA of Farmville School, where my kids went to elementary school. I've known Susanne really through my son, whose best friend was and still is Gabe Galanski, since early school days in elementary school. And Susanne has also been very much involved in the educational process in Richfield, helping the students on top of what she does for ABC. But we'll come back. And now we have a special guest, Danielle Dickerson, who is my very first person on my shows ever who went to University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. And being a Dookie, you're still welcome. Go ahead, Danielle. Tell us what you know about ABC and how you've been involved.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. My name is Danielle Dickerson, and I grew up out west. I was born in Denver, grew up in Victorville, California, and I was a scholar in the A Better Chance of Richfield program. I graduated in 2007, and I went to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, as was mentioned. Go Heels. And I graduated there in 2012. I got an MFA in writing as well from Otis College of Art and Design in Los Angeles. Graduated there in 2015. And currently I'm doing freelance writing and copy editing. And I'm also one of the executive directors of student life at A Better Chance of Westport.
So you were one of the people, and I'm going to get some more out of you because you were an honored guest, I believe, in 2023 at their annual gala ball. Am I correct?
Yeah.
And you made a phenomenal speech. We'll get into that in a few moments. And Susanne is the honored guest. I guess you're the honored person, Susanne, for your service to ABC this year on March 1st. I want to go back to a couple of things. And I always, as you know, do my homework before the shows. And I like to check out the mission of any 501c3 nonprofit group. And I was struck by ABC because I've known about it for years. I've been to some of your fundraisers and things, and it's a great organization. It's a great program. But your mission statement, and I'll open this up to either of Susanne and Janet first. Your mission statement includes, quote, "Our mission is to provide academically talented and highly motivated young women of color the opportunity to study at Richfield Public High School." And it goes on from there. I'd like to talk a little bit from whoever wants to take this question. as to what do you do at ABC to try to fulfill that mission? Susanne, you want to jump in first?
Sure. We go, first of all, we're seeking these students, and we look for young women who we think, would succeed here in Ridgefield. And once we select them, interview them, bring them on board, we support them while they're in our care, I guess, living in Ridgefield. They live here. They have an academic advisor. They have a host family. They have anything they need, room and board, tutoring, extracurricular activities are supported for them. We just try to encourage them to get really immersed in the Ridgefield community and the high school community, and to become a part of things and to do their best. And we then lead them through the college application process and hopefully encourage them to go to schools that we think would really be a good fit for them, and give them good financial aid packages as well, upon leaving here.
Susanne mentioned, Jan, that you give housing for these students. Where is the housing provided?
We have a house in town that all the scholars come and live in. It's a multi, it can accommodate, it has the 8 scholars that live there, our resident director and our resident academic director all live in the house. So it's like a family environment. They have family dinners at night, and the resident director and the resident academic director are really like their, they have their own parents, of course, but they're like the people that oversee all their activities in the house and school and everything. And these are very busy, active, engaged young women. And what Susanne was saying too, I think we really meet each scholar where they're at and try to help them fulfill what their goals and what their missions are, and try to support them in whatever way we can. We have one young scholar now who is very interested in engineering, but also in theater. And, she came in and she has a beautiful voice, but she's really expanded her skills, and now she's got a lead in the play. And so we just try to, maximize each individual's abilities.
Now, we all love Richfield.
Yes, we do.
Being on the Board of Education, Richfield High School, like any public high school, is not the easiest place to go to when you start as a 9th grade. And I believe that students are the high school age. So Danielle, I'd like to talk to me a little bit, first of all, about your background. You have a very interesting background, and I was struck by the Mojave Desert. So why don't you tell us a little about your background as to where you were from and how you got into the ABC program?
Okay, yeah. So I grew up in the Mojave Desert, Victorville, California. It was very small at the time. And I just remember loving school, doing great at school. I went to a very tiny school. And by the time it was 8th grade, my mom and I were kind of like, okay, what are we going to do next? The public school at that time in Victorville wasn't that great. There was a lot of issues with it. So we started looking into, prep schools and day schools. And that's how we found out about A Better Chance. So first I applied to the national organization, and through that I found out about the community school program, which Ridgefield is one of them. And I applied. I remember visiting Ridgefield and loving it. It felt like a movie. It felt like Gilmore Girls. And I was just like, I want to come here. It's so cool. So yeah, that's how I got to the house, and I felt really supported. As these 2 wonderful women were talking about anything I needed. Like I took a photography class and I needed a camera, and the board helped me get a camera. Every field trip I went on, every outing we had just really opened my mind to what was possible in the world and what was happening. And it definitely changed the trajectory of my entire life.
Gilmore Girls. My daughter, who's a teacher and administrator of special education in Staples in Westport, where you're now working, has watched the Gilmore Girls her whole life. And in fact, my 2-year-old grandson often falls asleep watching the Gilmore Girls. So somehow the Gilmore Girls, and she was smart enough to go to Yale University, as I recall, which is my undergraduate school. How does one get into the program, Susanne? How does one who finds out about this program, the ABC program, and they go through the national organization, how does someone get selected to come to Richfield?
Right. So all the applicants apply, as you said, through the national organization, but then the national organization will pass along to the community schools candidates that they think we might be interested in. So we are a female program. We take girls, and so we get a bunch of applicants, and we have like a geographic area. We only go at Danielle's time. We went cross country, but now we're only like accepting students from kind of the East Coast. So once we get the applications from those students, we have a selection committee that really digs deeply into them. They read the students' essays, the letters of recommendations, the transcripts, the test scores, all sorts of things. And then they look for kids who they think would be a good fit in our program, not just kids. And they all have a good academic record. That's how they got, through the first hurdle of being selected by national. But now we're looking for people who are really going to fit in well in Ridgefield, and people who want to be involved in extracurricular activities, who we think would mesh well with other students in the house. And there's a process where they're evaluated and then usually interviewed, and then hopefully they come. They're usually interviewed on a Zoom call or something, and then they'll come to Ridgefield if they're seriously interested in us and we're seriously interested in them. And then they're offered a spot in the house. Generally we have room for 2 new students every year.
Oh, I see. Now, Jan, you mentioned that you were initially a host family.
Yes.
Since there's already a house for ABC, what is the role of the host family? What does the host family do?
So the host family, the girls come at the beginning of the year in August, and they move into the house in town that we talked about before. And one full weekend a month and one Sunday a month, the girls each have a host family that they go and they stay with. It allows them to have a little one-on-one time, like, they're living all together. So it allows them to, have their own experience with a family in town who, they can, like we did, we just get to know the scholar, they get to know us. And it gives them a break from living in the house. And it's just a wonderful experience. So
we have a video, which I think my director, Jonathan's going to put on right now, that shows about a minute or so of some of the people who have been involved and what they're doing in ABC. Jonathan, you want to put that video on, please? That was really cool. Danielle, I have a question for you. I understand you sent me your speech you gave last year at the Gala Ball, and I wanted to read a quote that you have, which I was particularly struck by, and ask you to perhaps comment upon that. Okay. You said, Quote, now I want to say something directly to the scholars themselves. Keep going. You can do it. You're doing it now. Somewhere in your life, in your story, you realized that you were capable of more, that you wanted more, and that you deserve more. Right now, you're climbing the mountain, and all you can think about is how hard it is, how sweaty you are, how much your legs hurt. But one day, you'll reach the summit. That's an amazing comment, and it's an amazing positive statement about Richfield ABC, Danielle. Talk to me about what you were intending to convey to the students in the ABC program.
Yeah, I think, like any teenagers, high school can be a struggle. You're figuring out who you are, you're figuring out how you act and what you believe in. So I think high school inherently is difficult. I also think it's extra difficult to live away from your home, your family, to move out at 13 and navigate a lot of adult things and responsibilities and expectations that maybe you wouldn't have been experiencing. So I think it is a struggle to push yourself through and stay motivated and do everything you need to do. But I just know that once you graduate and once you, live a little bit more life, you really look back at that time and just really understand how much you were given, what an opportunity it was, and how it changed you and changed your life. So I just really wanted to convey to them, because I think this generation of ABC scholars are really powerful and intelligent and capable. So I just wanted to encourage them to keep going and make it.
We need these people, both ABC and all the younger generation, because I'll say this candidly, my generation has dropped the ball as far as I'm concerned. We won't get to politics today, but we need the young people coming up to help us get out of the, shall we say, mess that we're in right now. Jan and Susanne, both, I want to say something to you also. One of the great parts of Richfield is the community we have. But let's be honest, it's a homogeneous community. We don't have a lot of diversity in Richfield. And I'd like you to talk a little bit about, ladies, how it is. We've heard about from Danielle how her life was influenced by ABC. But let's talk about the recipient community. How do you think our community, our high school kids, benefit by having this ABC program? Because I see it as a two-way street. Susanne, you want to start, or Jan, either one?
Sure. I think that's one of those things that you can't quantify it, right? But it's definitely true that it's a two-way street. Our girls are active in the high school in extracurricular activities there. Like as Jan mentioned, we have someone in the theater program, girls in the athletic programs, girls in the service organizations and clubs. And our girls do community service in town as well. They're involved in National Honor Society, National Charity League, the Boys and Girls Club. They have jobs in town. Someone is working at Deborah Ann's right now, and we've had girls work at Stop and Shop and different places. Students working up at Tiger Hollow. So they're a presence in town, and I think just by virtue of being themselves, they're just adding that little extra something here that we're lacking, and I think it's really nice to mix them into the blend that is Ridgefield High School.
How about you, Jan? Any comments about that topic?
Yes, I think that they, just like I think that what Susanne says, just being themselves and bringing their different perspectives and views and viewpoints and life experiences and things that maybe our kids haven't experienced. And I think that I think it's wonderful to have different viewpoints, different opinions, different, experiences for our children to learn about.
There's an old cliche, it takes a village, right? That's
Exactly.
A community that it takes. And there are a lot of people who are not shown today, who may not even be on the ABC board, who are involved in helping this program appropriately. I'm sure the Board of Education and the school district is helpful, because there has to be arrangements to allow students from out of the district to come to this community. And I think the community involvement is important. So I'd ask Jan, if someone wants to get involved in the ABC program, how does one do that? Is there a website, how you can read more about the program? How
Yes.
about that? We have 3 minutes left in the show.
Okay. Yes, by all means, please go to ridgefieldabc.org. That is our website. On there, you will find links of information about the program, about the events that we hold, and ways that you can get involved. We've mentioned the host families, academic advisors. There is also an email, info@ridgefieldabc.org. That is an email if you want to reach out directly and speak to somebody. That is the email address, but that is also on the website. And again, the website is ridgefieldabc.org.
Danielle, I'm going to give you the last word before I close out in the show, and that is, can you tell us a very brief memory you have that sticks out in your mind of a very positive experience that you had personally, or that you know of someone had personal experience of being involved in ABC when you went, you graduated high school in 2007?
Yeah, 2007. There's so many. I went to see an opera at the Met. We went to Broadway shows that changed my life. My host family was so wonderful and loving, and we're still in contact. So many great memories in the house with the other scholars, and we're still in contact. So I just really can't say enough about how warm and wonderful Ridgefield is in my memories, and how grateful I am to have been in the program.
It's funny you mentioned having an opera that you went to. When I was a senior in college, I went to Yale undergraduate, and our master, each college had an educational dean and a master. Our master for my graduation threw for our college, a residential college, an opera. And my college was Jonathan Edwards, part of Yale, and my college was the most musical. In fact, we had more pianos at Jonathan Edwards College at Yale than any other college in Connecticut.
Wow.
And the only opera I've ever gone to was that opera given to me as a gift. So I can really relate to your remembrance of that particular activity. Folks,
Yeah.
we could spend a lot of time. I will be at your Gable Ball on March 1st to honor Susanne Galanski. I want to thank Jan and Susanne, the current president and the past president, for coming on the show today and explaining the story. And Danielle, thank you so very much for joining us today and telling your story. And on March 9th of this year, Duke plays Carolina at Duke. Have a great day. This has been Bobby O. Thank you very much, ladies.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
I know.
Yeah.